start asking questions. Thank you for being here. Um, I'm really glad we have a chance to do this for everybody. I do this every month on just like asking questions on our chat. It's for the founding members, so that's another tier of the subscription with W Design. And with that founding member subscription, you'll get that once a month, Ask Me Anything, where I will answer everyone's question. And then 50% off our classes. And we have some guides, like a countertop guide, paint guide, all that. So if you're not a founding member, it might be worth it, especially if you're building, remodeling, whatnot, or a business owner. There's a lot of good stuff on there. Okay, I think I see my first question. 11-foot ceiling, kitchen, new build, cabinets to the ceiling. Megan, typically I will drop the ceiling in the kitchen to 10 feet in a house that has taller ceilings. I probably would do a soffit and only go up to 10 feet, or do just like furniture type cabinetry where it's open above. I think 11 feet is a little tall. You definitely, I don't even use my upper cabinets in my 10-foot high cabinetry. So yes, I would drop it. Let's see, Katie, can you speak to your thoughts on design with 8-foot ceilings? Would you ever add wood beams or do a coffered ceiling or particular moldings to an 8-foot ceiling? Yes. So my last one of my homes had like just barely 8-foot ceilings. I feel like beams would be. I wouldn't typically advise a beam in an 8-foot ceiling. I think we're trying to get more of a feeling of height now. Like an old house in the Cotswolds has really low ceilings. Sometimes they have beams, and it's really charming. It can be a look, but just know that it's going to make it feel even lower. But it can be charming. So it's not a no. It's just I probably wouldn't do that. I would do very like shallow beams, or like tongue and groove, I think is really great on an 8-foot ceiling. So some kind of ceiling detail I think would be really great. I just don't know if I would do something that's any taller than maybe like 4 inches high. Okay, designing a 4,500 square foot home, best dimensions for a great room, French doors open to patio. Great room dimensions, I think, are somewhere between like 15 to 18 feet by 21 to 25 feet. Typically, I would say you don't want something that's like short and long. That's kind of hard. And you don't want you just don't want narrow. Ideally, you're getting like a nice rectangular shape. I would say it has more to do almost with the shape like the dimensions of that room, and just like how they relate to each other. Are you doing a sectional? Is like one side a wall, so you're gonna like run the sectional along the wall, put a couple chairs, ottoman. There's a lot more that goes into it. But I think we do have an article about ideal ideal square footage for each room. And so you should check that out on the Substack, because we have some living room dimensions. We have, that kind of stuff. 4,500 square foot home, I think you're getting like a medium sized living room. So, um, let's see, Katie, can you provide your thoughts on outlet placement regarding millwork panel molding? Do you put the outlet in the baseboard versus on the wall? It's a good question. I typically do not put my outlets in the baseboard. I don't know what it is about the baseboard, like putting an outlet there, but I feel like I notice it more. So I typically put it like right above the baseboard, horizontal, just sitting right on top of that. Okay, my home has north and south light windows, specifically the kitchen and living area. Okay, which should you prioritize in terms of accommodating for colors? I would say probably the south facing, like that's obviously a bright light. So like let's say so in my kitchen is south and east facing. And I went with I kind of wanted an off-white color. So I went with shaded white by Farrow and Ball, kind of like a Revere pewter color. And I thought I was like going to get this like beige kitchen, and it really looks like a white kitchen because of the light. So, I maybe would have gone a little bit more saturated. I don't regret it, I really like it, but, anyway, So I would prioritize the brightest light. Um, Also, like, it gets kinda green in the afternoon, so yeah, maybe look at that. North-facing light is typically a good light and doesn't really mess with things as much. Um, okay, Leslie, what would you tell a client who has completed the design and is considering changes? How do you balance continuing the creative process and being reflexive and stepping away and being done? Okay. It is like, how do you balance continuing the creative process? It's a good question, Leslie. You always have really good questions for me. Thank you. Um, I I mean, obviously, like, I have my own house. I could keep thinking about things a million forever and ever and ever and never stop. So, I think all design needs some time to just, like, sit and be with it. So, I feel like if you feel like you're getting really flustered and it's getting stressful and you feel like you're getting less creative and really stuck, I think that's a really good time to pause and just live with whatever you have for a minute. Like, it could be a week, it could be a month, it could be 6 months. I don't know exactly what you're doing, but, that's usually where I would pause and just let it sit with you, see if you like it more, play with it a little bit. We call it the creative process because it is a process. So, I think it's okay that you're just that to step away when you're getting I call it, like, stuck. I'm just, like, hitting a wall. That's where I would take a pause and change, like, where I'm getting inspiration, change who I'm talking to, maybe make a change or something. Um, okay, favorite dining chair that's not too bulky. It's a small space, but it's comfortable. Jen, that's a hard one. Um, favorite dining chair. We were just at Round Top, and there was a bunch of, like, wooden chairs that were antique, and they were small scale, but really sturdy. Um, I don't know, like, they're comfortable when you add a cushion to them. The backs of dining chairs kind of, change, but I just like a ladder back wood chair, something really solid with a cushion can be really great. The chairs I'm in right now, oh, I can't show you. It doesn't work very well. Okay. They're not huge. We've had them in 2 offices. We love them. Jen, if you ask me on the chat, I can send you a link. Okay. True gray soapstone for an island, too rustic cabin vibe, or can I mm, English Dutch? Um, I don't know exactly what you're asking, Megan. If you wanna, like, give me a little bit more information, that'd be great. Elizabeth, favorite to the public sofa source? I think Made in Home is pretty good. We use them. I actually really like Crate& and Barrel. They do some of their stuff is from Lee Industries, which is a company we use. Pottery Barn's not so awful either, honestly. So, it kinda depends on, like, which profile within it, but there's a few people here at the office that they have a Pottery Barn sofa they've really liked. Like I said, Crate& and Barrel. Those are the ones that come to mind. I'm not a huge fan of Restoration Hardware. I just think for the price, you can get something better. Um, Preference of polished or honed countertop materials. We have that countertop guide, Sarah, that has all that information in there, but, um, we like I don't know if you're asking polished versus honed. We do honed more than we do polished. I'm not against either one of them. I think it's just how they wear. But we typically do a honed, especially, like, in a kitchen. In a bathroom, I don't think it matters. Okay. Can you speak to mixing metals within an open concept living room and dining room? Should chandelier finishes in each space coordinate with each other, like both be brass? And then what would the finish be on fireplace sconces, picture lights? Katie, good question. I think a lot of people, including myself, have a hard time mixing light fixtures, like, all in an open space where you're seeing them all together, which is why open spaces are hard. They're hard for all of us. I like to mix. I think the thing that I would look for is balance. So, if you had, like, within a line of sight, if you had brass pendants over an island, then you had a brass chandelier, and then you had brass sconces at the fireplace, it's just not interesting enough. Like, it just feels too blah. So, I typically like to do a fabric shade over a dining space or something. Like, I think sometimes you need fabric. I don't want all hard metals, or you need glass. Like, maybe you want it to feel clear. So, maybe the stem of the light is brass, but then it's a glass shade or it's a fabric shade. That will mix it up. So, if you're like, "I'm not comfortable changing to an oil rub bronze with a brass fixture," that's fine, but maybe change the shade and have an open bulb and a closed light. So kind of mix in that way. We also have a guide on mixing light fixtures on Substack. So check that out as well. Okay, Amy, will you please provide tips on first meeting with trade only tile showroom? Design processes at the inspiration stage. Will the showroom expect more direction during the first meeting? Um, Showrooms, depending on the showroom, can be very not helpful, I have found. So, but if you have, like, inspiration pictures or something where you're like, "I'm looking for this in particular," um, they'll totally help you. I just think having something, like, when you show up with kind of nothing and you're kinda describing it, I think that can be confusing to people, but if you have images and you're like, "I'm looking for, like, a marble mosaic," like, "Here's an image of something that I'm looking for, what I'm wanting," I think it will be totally fine. Okay. Favorite to the public rug source? I really like Nordic Knots. Lulu in Georgia has a good selection, so does McGee& and Co. Kinda depends on the rug. I like Annie Selke for, like, mudroom rugs. Yeah. Okay. Since slab backsplash isn't an option, what are some timeless tile alternatives that won't feel dated in a few years? Well, if you know me, you know I love a subway tile. So classic. You can do square shape, you can do a long subway, you can do a regular 3x6 subway. There can be slight variation in it, but I just think like a nice ceramic tile on a backsplash is very lovely. And that's what I did in my house. And I think sometimes like the drama of it going all the way to the ceiling, I like tiled around my door openings, like basically like the whole room, everywhere there was wall space, there was a white subway tile. Feels really nice. It feels really finished, and it wasn't even as expensive as a slab backsplash. So I'm a big fan of that. I also love like a tongue and groove behind as a backsplash, like a wall treatment. Okay. Have you been to Coverings exhibition? Who do you recommend should attend? Amy, I have not been to the Coverings exhibition, but that sounds very cool. I'll have to check it out. Sorry, I can't help you on that one, but yeah, cool. Is gray soapstone too rustic, not formal enough to achieve the English Dutch look as black soapstone? Megan, I love gray soapstone, like, a lot. I don't oil my soapstone. It's really dark already, which I actually regret. I wish my soapstone was more of a gray soapstone, especially, like, in Vermont, there's a soapstone there, and it has, like, more of a greenish undertone, but that's very historic and very cool too. So, like, the super black, like an oiled soapstone is not the only way to do that, like, English look. I think, gray soapstone's gorgeous. Um, okay, can you briefly describe how you scaled from being a solopreneur designer to getting to the point where you are today? What were the key things that you felt really propelled your business? How influential is Instagram in getting actual clients? Really good question. Um, I scaled from being I was by myself for about 5 years. I was working alongside other designers. I shared space with them, so that helped. I was getting some help that way. We shared a design library, things like that. But I really burned out hard and kind of was like, I just either have to grow or not grow. So my biggest issue was maybe like my billing and the logistics of things that way. So I hired actually my sister and was just like, I just need someone to help with the books. And then I need another designer. There's a friend of mine in my neighborhood, and she was like, I just want to intern or would like to work with you. She was so great to work with. I was like, would you like to keep working with me as a junior designer? So together, the three of us, like that started working really, really nicely. I was super scared to take on somebody where I'd have to pay their income, for a while. That there was a lot of that feels like a different level of pressure, but I was so burned out, I had no choice. And it was really good. I'm really glad I did that. I wish I didn't wait so long. For getting clients, Instagram was a big part of getting clients for us. And I had a blog. That's how long ago I started. I was blogging as well, and the blog really helped me get clients as well. So that was how I reached a lot of people. I think because I didn't work for a design firm before, it was not like I was already connected in that world. So I think the marketing and everything was very that was really needed. I would say for anybody who wants to run a business and they haven't already worked in that industry before, you're going to really need to hit the social media stuff pretty hard. Um, Melissa, what's your current favorite design book? Hmm. Well, I love a coffee table book, like a picture design book. Um, I think they can be really inspiring and really great. But my favorite design books are usually the more instructive ones, like Get Your House Right, The Field Guide to American Houses. Those are both more like kind of architectural ones. There's, I think it's called like a Guide to Interior Design. Maybe Paxton can link it for you guys. Um, that we give to all of our interns. I really like that one. It's just like all those rules. But one of my favorites of all time is The Perfectly Imperfect Home. Trying to remember who wrote that. It's actually just illustrations, but I just really like it. Thoughts on architectural asphalt shingles like Grand Manor if budget doesn't allow cedar? I was just telling a client yesterday that the roofing material is the last thing I'm going to spend money on if, if we have to decide where to put the budget. Because re-roofing your house is the least disruptive to your life of all the things that you do. So if we're trying to get I'd rather you put the right brick on from the get-go. You're not going to re-brick your house. You're not going to do that. So yeah, dude, asphalt shingle. I have asphalt shingle on my house, and honestly, I wish I wanted to do cedar. My house would look even better with cedar, but it's not something I miss so much. So I'm a big fan of put the asphalt shingles on, live with it for 10, 15 years. And then hopefully you have the budget to do what you want to do eventually. In your opinion, what makes a timeless home? I see all these English-inspired kitchen homes happening right now. I worry that it is the new farmhouse trend. I don't know if we even realize we are in a trend until it's over. I love your thoughts, Katie. I think about this a lot as well because I worry. I don't want to get influenced myself. And obviously, when I'm looking at so many images every day, I worry that I am getting influenced in a certain way. And especially when there's other designers where maybe their aesthetic was maybe more the modern farmhouse. And then when they start going overly English with their interior design, I'm like, oh, okay, this is a trend for sure. And you're right, it is a trend. It's only a trend if it's not authentic to you. So there's friends of mine that are like Anglophiles. They love English. They always have. They're like reading the Bronte sisters all the time. And it's just like who they are. For her, when she does her English kitchen, I'm like, that makes sense for her. It's not a trend. Even if she did it in 2024, like when it was trendy, it's not a trend for her. So her home feels like her. I just would watch, just who are you as a person? What do you gravitate towards? If you're like, I've always liked a classic white kitchen, or I love a farmhouse vibe, and that's just kind of who you are, and that's always what's gravitated towards you, do it. Trends are only trends because people aren't doing what's authentic to them. So don't worry about it too much. I think it's very timeless. In general, really all all types of design are actually timeless if they're done authentically to the person, the place, the architecture. So hope that helps. Um, we're getting through these questions so fast. Okay. Okay, more thoughts on timelessness. Say more about how to find something original to you. Good question, Leslie. Um, I would say, when I was thinking about building my own home, so we were doing like kind of a colonial style house. It's a 2-story box essentially. If I put shingles on it, it would feel more Cape Cod. If I put red brick on it, it would feel very, um, colonial East Coast. Painted brick would feel similar. I could have done siding, like a vertical siding or a horizontal siding, and made it feel more like farmhouse or beach coastal. Because of my architecture, just changing the materials would have really changed the vibe of it. So me and my husband like drove around neighborhoods. We're trying to figure out like, as funny as it is, it's like, who are we as a house? Like, how do I find out like what materials to use? Because I really like the red brick. I like the painted brick. I liked the shingles. How do we want people to feel? And I think just like when I was really like, as funny as it sounds, like digging deep to be like, I want to love this. I just was like, my family's from Washington, D.C. I've always gravitated towards that East Coast vibe. There's just something about it that feels like home to me. And so I was like, when I thought about doing other materials, it felt too serious, but like the cedar shingles felt almost too coastal, which would have been probably more my husband. But I think he also was like, yeah, I kind of agree. I feel like this is more who we are. So I think it's like really thinking about your heritage in a way where you've lived and just like, regardless of what other people say, like, what have you always loved? You just have to kind of really think about the vibes too that you feel when you look at different homes or when you look at different sofa profiles, as funny as it is like, am I this serious of a person or am I this pretty? Like things that are really pretty. I'm not like a really pretty person. I really like things that are like interesting or I don't know, but like that's not the word. That's not the thing that usually calls to me. But I have other clients who are like, I want it to feel pretty and like whatever, hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Um, Speaking of trends, are white oak ceilings, beams, etc., like the old shiplap on their way out? Megan, yes, like I think they can be. So I'll look at a lot of pictures of interiors and I'm like, this is really cute and cool, but like, why is it there? So do the beams feel like they make sense? Or do they feel like they were just thrown up on the ceiling because someone saw it in a picture and thought it was cool? Like, how are the beams running in the room? Does it feel structural? Are they big enough to feel structural? Because the point of a beam is to almost feel like you've exposed the ceiling or that it's like a structural beam. So I think it's looking at that intention and going, does it make sense here? And if I only do it in this section of the house, like say it's the living room, and I don't carry it into the kitchen, will that make it feel like I just pasted them on the ceiling and they really didn't make sense? Because it would make more sense to run it into the kitchen. So like if we don't have the budget to really like do it well and do it right, I think it's better to not do it. That's where it feels trendy and that's where it's like, why did everyone do that? Um, so hopefully that helps. Like it should be, beams and things like that should feel architectural. They need to feel heavy. They need to feel structural, and not too decorative, I guess. And then like the stain, you can always change the stain. So don't worry too much about like, you can paint the white oak, you can adjust that over time. So what is a favorite stain for walnut cabinetry? Um, that's a really good question, Amy. I know that I have figured it out. I think it's on our Mill Road post for that project. But provincial, I think there's something called special walnut or dark walnut. I'd have to have like the Minwax thing in front of me, but we have stain colors with like paired with paint colors, but we have an article about that, I believe. And definitely in our paint guide, I think we have a section on stains. So, but I definitely like uh, a richer walnut color. Not too red either, like more of a brown. Founding member, just want to thank you for great content. Thank you, Elizabeth. I really, really appreciate that. We really do try to pack it with substance. I feel like $150 is a lot to ask from people, so we really want to make it worth your while, and I'm glad you feel that way. Terry, hi. Do you have advice for dining chandelier for 8-foot ceiling? Would you advise having both chandelier and 4-inch recessed cans? Or just chandelier? In the dining room, I just do a chandelier. I have cans in my dining room because I just didn't pay attention with my own house like I should have. Um, and I never, ever really want them on. And if they're on, they're on dim. They're like the dimmest setting on there. Now, if the chandelier that you love is not going to provide enough light, then put a couple cans, just like really small cans, and that would be fine. But ideally, just chandelier in the dining room, something that's like maybe long and has multiple bulbs and will flood the room with light. Um, what are some of your mid-tone stains for white oak floors? So we don't sand and stain a lot of the floors. We do a lot of pre-stained engineered wood flooring, especially because Utah engineered flooring does better for us. And I like the finish on a pre-stained floor. I feel like they can just do a lot more to the floor to make it feel more interesting. So unfortunately, I'm not super familiar with floor stains. I'm more familiar with brands and colors within the brands for pre-finished floors. Um, I do know that the Europeans do it better than the Americans when it comes to that like mid-tone stain. And so I feel like, when you go into those waxed or like stay away from like the polyurethanes as much as possible. I think you find some good colors, but I'm sorry, I don't know more about that. Let's see. Aside from founding membership, do you or your team offer other design services beyond full service large scale projects? Leslie, we do. I'm on the expert, where it's like a 1 hour consultation with me. And so we help people there. Like I have a client on there that she just books me once every, honestly, anytime I have time, she books me pretty well. And I'm basically like designing her house with her, but just on a consultation basis. So we're either full service or just consultation, like a 1 hour. But really a 1 hour consultation, I feel like, especially when it comes to floor plans or, some of those like bigger items or like cabinetry layouts and things like that. I feel like I'm providing a lot of value, like saving people thousands of dollars. So that's a really good time to, whether it's me or someone else, I feel like the expert's actually a really great thing. And a lot of designers offer like 1 hour consultations. But yeah, that's the only thing that we have at our firm. How valuable is it to have a social media manager versus trying to do it yourself? What things should you look for in a good social media manager that really moves the needle for a business? Or is it really just about posting pretty pictures? Oh, Jess, I know it's the worst. Um, for interior design, like we have a class actually next Friday where we're talking to Sarah Birmingham, who does PR for like the best in the business, honestly, like Gil Schaefer, Bunny Williams, Rita Koenig. Anyway, I was talking to her and she's just like, without imagery, like your business is images. Like people have to see the homes that you do. They have to see your vision somehow. It could be like design boards, like having 3D renderings done, something, but people, they need something to grasp onto. They need the visual. Um, that is going to move the needle the very most. It's frustrating because how do you get started? Like, you're like, if I don't have clients, like, you have to do it for yourself. You have to do your own house. You have to do a friend's house, do your aunt's house, do a bedroom, do a living room, like anything. I basically worked for free, like legitimately for free for 5 years. And that's why sometimes I feel like the entry to being an interior designer takes money, and I really hate that, and I think it's really unfortunate. And I was lucky that I was able to work almost for 5 years without making very much money at all. So I could just like really work for free essentially to build my portfolio. But it was hard and it was frustrating, and no one likes to work for no money. So I'm sure there's other ways to do it that's better than the way I did it. But that's what it essentially took for me. Having a good social media manager is really helpful. But honestly, I posted all my own things. People want you. Like I'm the one on Substack. I'm the one here today. Like I don't outsource everything and I never will. It's really important that it's your voice, it's your vision. So I didn't even hire someone for probably 7 or 8 years of working as an interior designer. Um, but if it's something you don't feel that you're very good at, like you're like, I'm really good at design, I'm not good at whatever, hire someone, that would be great. But it's tough. That's one of the hardest hires by far. Can you share a little bit more about your favorite engineered hardwood brands and colors? Okay, so we use a lot. We really like a brand called Hackwood. They are from the Netherlands, and they mill all their own wood there and do it all there and then ship it over. It's not inexpensive. It's probably around $15 a square foot or so, um, for just the materials. Then you pay your installer, so it ends up being about $20 a square foot. That is a lot. I have it in my home. I've really, really loved it. It's a very quality product. We also like Burchette, again, another high-end product that is made in North Carolina. Um, and that's even more expensive than Hackwood. When it comes to anything less expensive, um, there's something called Biellen that a flooring that's only like $5 a square foot or $6 a square foot. And that is it's not even the same product, but it's like if you were gonna do a vinyl wood floor and, like, in your basement or something, and you're trying to decide this is, like, actual wood, and it's been, like, hardened, and it was a really great product. I really liked it, for an inexpensive floor, and it was made of almost, like, all recyclable materials, so I thought that was really great. All the in-betweens, there's so many brands, and they're all, like, $10, $9. This one's 750 a square foot. This one's 11. Like, to me, they all seem the same, and they come from all around the world. Like, some of it's Russian wood, it's Chinese wood, it's whatever, and they're calling it European oak. It's not, and it does have a different quality to it. Sometimes they delam, like, they come apart. Anyway, there's almost too much out there that I just kinda stick with these higher end things. I think what's underfoot is really important, or do a solid wood and stain it. But yeah, Hackwood's like our go-to. Favorite kitchen hood styles, seeing freestanding plaster hoods all over IG. That's true. Yeah, again, with the trends, if it fits your kitchen, great. I love a cabinet hood, just like especially with upper cabinets and just like doing like a cabinet hood with it, like super classic. I like a metal hood, especially if it's like a project in like a home in Jackson Hole or in like a mountain region or something. I love like we're doing a house in New York, and it's like this like rolled steel hood, and I think it's gonna be gorgeous. So I still love that. It fits the style of that home. The plastered hood is just like if you're doing a certain style of home. I really like the plastered hood too. So I guess, Megan, I like all styles of kitchen hoods. I'll even take like the manufacturer ones, like where it's like the metal and then like comes out like this, like for a modern home or mid-century modern house. Like it's all relative to the kitchen style. Um, any recommendations for AI software that can transform renderings into realistic photos? I think Claude is a really good. That's like the AI that we use. Yeah, Claude. I like it. I haven't like really gone into the AI rendering on the architectural side beyond just like quick renderings just to get an idea of what it could look like. Um, we hire out still for renderings when we want them to be done really well because I actually think that there's a lot to know about it and I don't have time to know everything. So, but yeah, hopefully that helps. But Gemini, I think is what it's called, is like the AI system. That's a good one. Question about kitchen cabinet construction. Are your cabinet boxes plywood or melamine covered particle board? And are the doors and drawers MDF, HDF, solid wood? Um, I like a wood box. I am not a fan of melamine if we can avoid it. Melamine tends to save clients money on the interior. I was just telling the designers I work with the other day that there's something about opening the cabinetry and seeing wood inside that makes me just it feels very luxe, obviously very nice, and it's my preference. For the cabinet doors, I'm great with an HDF, especially if it's like a painted right, for a painted cabinet. In Utah, we have a lot of like shrinking and expansion of the like with our weather. So when it's solid wood, like those joints, it can crack and not look great. So HDF is really great for our climate, and I think it's really great. But yeah, I think if you could do like a dovetail, like wood box drawer and wood on the interiors, especially like in your kitchen, I would recommend that. For a bathroom, if you want to do melamine and save some money, I think that's obviously totally fine. And for closets as well. Okay, how to prepare for an expert session and getting you all the inspo, pictures, etc. That's a good question. I really like Milanote. I think I recommended it on maybe if you're a founding member, there's that class about how to create a concept. That I did that class because the concept is the most important part of a project. Like, how do you know where you're going if you don't have a map type of thing? So it's really creating the map and like, getting all of your images together and seeing it all laid out. So Milano is a really nice place to like build your boards and everything can live in there, like PDFs, your architectural plans, everything. It's really helpful. I've had a few people use that. Just when you go to share it, make sure that you have a shareable link that it's to share with someone, not you have to be invited, kind of like Google Docs or whatnot. Another program we use a lot is called Figma. It's kind of or like Canva would work, a PowerPoint type presentation is really great. I have a friend who's building and she really wanted to do a lot of the design herself. And so I was showing her what we do, where you just like go room by room and say like kitchen and like, here's all my inspiration. So we build that in Figma. And so she started playing around in that and she really, really liked it and was like, this is so helpful. And just showing like, just to show her husband, like, here's what I'm thinking room by room, really worked well. So Milanote, Canva, um, and Figma would be really great. And I think there's some more information on that in that concept class for the founding members. Okay. I think I got through all those questions. If anybody has more questions, let's see if I missed anything. I don't think so. Okay. Um, Do you suggest hand painting or spraying fireplace mantle and cabinetry that's next to it? What paint schemes would you suggest for built-in cabinetry, mantle millwork, panel molding? Um, Interesting about the hand painting versus spraying. I feel like most painters here that we've worked with, especially like on the West Coast, spray all the, they'll spray the cabinetry, we spray our walls, like that's how we paint. Um, but then our project in New York, they hand paint everything. And actually the hand painting is kind of nice because you could touch that up pretty easily yourself. And it had this texture to it that I thought was really nice. So I would be open to either one. When you spray paint anything, then when you have to touch it up, you have to spray paint the whole thing again, or else you see that little like touch up part. So that part's frustrating. We always do like a gloss sheen on millwork and built-in cabinetry, whether it's a high gloss or just like a satin. But I would go satin, semi-gloss, high gloss, but that's always what we do. It wipes better and it shows off the shadow lines and the ridges of the cabinetry and the millwork, and it looks, I think, pretty. Jen, thank you so much for saying you appreciate me. I really appreciate that. Um, do you use a receiving warehouse for furnishings for clients? Absolutely. I used to like give an option where I would drop ship it to the client, or especially if it's like a smaller project, and I will never ever ever do that again. We always use a receiving warehouse. They can mitigate so many issues. They'll open it up. They'll see if anything's broken. They'll see if we're missing anything. It's just really helpful to catch those before the install day. And then when you send individual pieces to a client, and this is even for homeowners, like when you receive, maybe you buy a sofa, a rug, and 2 chairs, and they come at different times, and you start freaking out because you put the rug down and you're like, I don't know if I love it. Do not make any decisions until everything is there. It's just like if you played like the D minor note without the F major or whatever. I don't really know music that well, but if you played just one note, it might sound off, but when you put it with 2 other notes, it's a beautiful chord. Like, that is how furniture works as well. So receiving warehouse, ship it all together to the client, install it all at once, make it lovely. They'll see it all together. It's great. We've used Bailey's for years. They are a great option, especially because they're like a little bit better price than some of the other places, but you'd have to do more work to make sure everything's getting there okay. We are we use we use different people in different states. Like, we've worked with a bunch of warehouses. Just look for someone that handles designer, high-end, receiving warehouse, and just talk to them, learn their policies. It'll be great. Is there a good option for faux gas lanterns that are electric? I love the look of gas lanterns, but we don't have gas. Um, if you're saying like the shape or it looks like it's a gas, like, there's companies like Lantern and Scroll and Bavolo that do both gas and electric lanterns, and you just choose which one you have. So those are the two brands we use a lot. How do you convince clients to go with marble when they know about the maintenance? Good question, Vanessa. I don't know if you saw the reel I posted yesterday, which actually offended a couple people. I'm very sorry, because some people love quartz and they don't like that we're like shaming people out of quartz. I'm not trying to shame anybody. If you want to use quartz, that's great. I just want people to understand that quartz is not superior to marble in how it is maintained and how it works. Like, yes, marble stains and etches, but it also lasts for like 100 years. Like, go to all these old buildings. Like, you go tour the mansions of Newport, and they're all marble countertops and they look amazing. So we just talk to them about, I kind of say, like, there's the perfect marble. It's like a baby when you first put it in, and it's beautiful and their skin is beautiful and everything. And then they have like awkward teenage years where you start getting some etching. Maybe there's like a little stain here or there. But then you like buff it out, you give it some Accutane, we take care of it, and then it's a beautiful adult and it looks amazing forever, and then even as it ages, it gets almost more interesting and better. So, it's all about how you talk about it and really help them understand it. There's ways to protect marble too. It's quite expensive, but you can put sealers on there that are like really amazing. They're expensive, but they'll warranty the marble for like, I think it's 10 to 15 years. I pretty sure we put that in our countertop guide. So, just educate them. And if they're still like, I want quartz, then we're like, fine, but it burns, it chips, quartz is not amazing either. And it's harmful to the people manufacturing it. So, how do you find contractors you trust in faraway areas? Do you just find a GC that is well known, good reviews? We tell our clients to do that work. Like, I don't we won't find I won't do the, like, I found you a contractor. They're gonna blame me for it, and I'm just, because I'm not running the contractor's business and I have no way of making sure they do their job well besides obviously communicating to them. I kind of just say, like, I will work with whoever you wanna work with, but I will not be the one that's like, I brought this person to you and I'm recommending this person unless I've worked with them before. It's just too risky. Okay, Andrea, I live in New England on the coast and can't have wood floors in our kitchen. What flooring would you recommend? Can't find non-wood options that don't look cheap. I love my like Belgian bluestone floors they're like in my hallway at my house. I had gone back and forth on whether I would put those in my kitchen as well. I ended up putting the wood floors for my kitchen, but I think I would really like those in my kitchen. So like, I love like a stone, like maybe like a bigger stone. There's also like, I don't know if you saw, we have that limestone look alternative material that we've used in quite a few projects that I really like. Is really inexpensive. I think it's like $9 a square foot or something. But I like kind of like a larger scale floor, or you could do like a more like, if you want more historic look, you could do a mosaic of sorts. But um, yeah, I feel like if you're on the coast, I would do like a Belgian bluestone or something like that. Lisa, I would love to learn CAD to work on my own design projects at home. Can you suggest a beginner level course? Um, I know that we have like a couple of books that are like CAD for interior designers, but I do think it's really helpful to watch people do it. I am blanking on there's a platform where there's a bunch of classes about CAD, but I don't really have a course personally that I've taken. I know that there's some designers that will offer, like, they'll just, like, teach somebody. Um, and I know that's really helpful, but really, like, just watching someone do it and then, like, just trying it over and over on your own is probably the best way to do it. But, yeah, I'm sorry I don't have, like, a great recommendation for you on that. Do you have an opinion on neolith porcelain for a kitchen? I have not used porcelain countertops. I think that's what you're talking about, and I don't know if I've heard the best things about porcelain. I feel like I'd be using porcelain for countertops if everybody was loving it. I'm just kind of a natural material person. That does not need to be your path. It's just what I feel best about. So, unfortunately, am not familiar with that. Is there a big difference between rejuvenation knobs and Armac Martin? I haven't used Armac Martin hardware for a while. I know I have in the past. I like rejuvenation a lot. I think they have some good quality stuff. But I can't really speak to like if one's more better than the other because I don't really work with Armac Martin much. Um, when you first started, how did you get around? Do you extend your trade discount or the product went on sale type questions? Great questions, Megan. I I think what one of the hardest parts about being a young like early on in your design career is that people take advantage of you. Like I think it's really really crappy to be honest. Now that I've been working long enough, I love that people don't ask me things like that. I feel like they take me more seriously and they feel like I'm a professional, whatever that means. But I was a professional when I was working for 2 years, or when I was first working. Like I wanted to be professional about things. They just didn't treat me like a professional. So I do feel like we have to help people learn how to treat us. That was a big mistake I made at the beginning was I was so grateful for the project and that someone had hired me with not a ton of experience that I really put up with a lot of this, but I wish I almost didn't and said, these are my policies, like full stop. So if you want to extend your trade discount to people, then put it in your policies, like have a sheet with your policies. That was another mistake I guess I made is I didn't have it laid out. And so I felt like I was always explaining things and kind of changing depending on who was having the conversation with me. But if you just have like a nice one sheet that says, here are my policies, um, these are the discounts you will get, or this is my markup and it's on everything. If you source things from somewhere else, like, have minimums. Like I require, I don't know whatever your minimum wants to be, but 30,000 in furniture. So if they buy something on their own, like went on sale and want to buy it, be like, that's fine, but you still have to buy $30,000 worth of furniture to work with me to make it worth their time and your time. So as long as you have certain policies in place, I think you can get around these things. But you do not have to offer that. A good designer, like, listen, we're offering a really great service to people. I'm saving people thousands of dollars in mistakes. And, the most expensive sofa you're going to ever buy is the one you buy twice. Okay. So even if it was $2,000 and the sofa that your designer was saying to buy was $5,000, well, you buy that $2,000 sofa twice in 6 years, you're going to buy the one with me just once for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, hopefully. So it's cheaper with the designer. It's just, it's all mind games, all numbers. Um, have you used curtains as a window covering above the kitchen sink? We have a huge arched window. I'm not sure how to protect from the sun in the evening or any other tips on covering arched windows. That is tricky. I would say a cafe curtain. So, something that's hung, if it's arched, I would probably like hang the rod. I don't know how high you need to do it. Like if you're like, it's that upper part of the sun that's really bothering you and you really need to cover all of it. Ugh, I don't know. I don't know how I would do that, but, arched windows are tricky that way. So, yeah, you could do drapes, obviously, and then, like, when they close, they, like, close over it, but in a kitchen, I feel like, having something that's probably more like a cafe curtain makes more sense. Um, Carmen, I love WC's content on Instagram. Have you considered making content for YouTube? Would love to see more in-depth videos or following along the journeys of a home. Well, thank you, Carmen. I'm so glad you want more from us. I really hate being in front of the camera and um, making that type of content, to be honest. I think it's so helpful. I'm so grateful for people who do it, but it's a lot of work and it's kind of like a whole other business side of things. But I think it's a really good suggestion. And I feel like there's probably something that we could do that fits our vibe and feels instructional and helpful and useful and not quite so like HGTV TV show style, because that's probably more where I'm like, this is not great. And then also, Carmen is also having like clients that want us to do that or will be okay with us doing that. Unfortunately, a lot of our clients are like, I don't want you showing up with like taking a lot of content of my house. They've obviously paid us a fee to like, do a good job for them and be very focused on their project. So it would have to be with like the right project too, where I could really dive into the process without having like privacy issues or like the fact that they've paid me for it. But I think we could. I think we could. And I'm really glad that you want that. Okay, Katie, how do you decide on drape material for bedroom or living room? Like 2 pages has so many different types of materials, which is true. And I just feel overwhelmed. So this is where you go back to like the concept board or like where you look at images and say like, okay, what is the look and the feel like when you look at bedrooms that have drapes in it and you're like let's say you're looking at 10 pictures, which ones like really speak to you? You might notice that they all have sheer drapes or something and they're all beige or they're really stacked really tightly. Different materials will give you a different crease also. So if you're doing like a French pleat drape, do you want it do you want it to feel like full, like more voluptuous and um, almost like casual and very linen-y? Then I would be going with like the that like linen blend possibly. If you want, or 100% linen, I don't think they have that. But cotton poly. But then there's other ones where they're like really like they've got that really strong pleat in it and it's a sheer and it's beige and it feels very edited. Then you really want to go with like that material that's more sheer and that will like press really nicely. It's really about how you want it to feel when it's hung. And I'm sure you could ask 2 pages. I think they have like a chat or something where you'd say, if this is the look I'm going for, what material would you recommend? I think, use whatever resources you have, or if you have a friend or someone, like ask on Instagram or whoever. But if I think images is what maybe speaks to most of us of like, I really love this look. And then asking somebody and just keep asking around and say, what material is that? What do you think is going to help me get that? Because you can't know all these things. I agree, Katie. Like, how do you know what type of fabric to buy? So 2 pages should help you. Melissa, typically, how many projects do you guys have at once? I would say typically we have between like 15 to 18 projects at a time. Right now, we actually have, I believe, like somewhere between 23 and 25 projects, but we're also a team of 15. And I think we really refined our processes down where I feel like I really can handle that many projects, but that's kind of a lot. It's the most we've ever had. But I would say per designer, there's about, depending on like the scale of the project, the size, um, they have about between 4 to 7 projects per designer. Then obviously I'm on everything. We have a designer and a project manager and myself on every project, plus someone that does the purchasing and then someone that does all the accessories. So there's really like a team of 7 on every project handling the different things. And again, that's why we're able to, I think, handle more projects in a very thoughtful, we're still very in depth and very thoughtful about it all. But when I was working on my own, I think I had like 5 to 7 projects mostly. Laura, do you purchase original art for your clients? Yes, we definitely do. I feel like, if I have a client that's really interested in like investment piece art where it's going to like, you know, they're doing it almost like instead of buying stock, you're buying art that's gonna, make money for them over time and be like an investment. There are art dealers for that, and I would say go to an art dealer and we will coordinate with them. But we buy original art, like even if it's just like vintage art or art like Ukraine like makes so much beautiful art, and there's a lot of people on Etsy or whatever. So a lot of our art is actually original. It's just not necessarily expensive. If that makes sense. I know each project varies so much, but what would you say is the average hours you put into design into a kitchen or great room or full home? Gosh, I wish I knew the breakdown. I'm guessing around 150 hours on the build side, like 100 to 150 on the build side, and about the same on the furniture side. So for for a kitchen, there's not a lot of furniture in that one, so probably like 150 hours, I'm thinking. Maybe. Maybe that's a little much, but kind of depends. Um, a great room, maybe 80 hours, and then maybe like 150 altogether with the furniture and the build. Again, it depends on how much built in cabinetry. Are there beams in there? Did I drop millwork on the walls? Like you said, it varies a lot. Probably not less than 40 hours, up to 150. It's a big spread. And honestly, I don't do the hours, so I'm a little bit detached from that. Okay. I love the look of a corner banquette. Are they comfortable? Live well in reality? Any tips on table leg style? Good questions, because the table leg for a corner banquette, like if you put your legs on the end, you're toast. You're just like stubbing your toe every day. I have a corner banquette. I love it, love it, love it, love it. I can't emphasize enough how much I love a corner banquette. And I also would say, if you can have your legs like a pedestal table or the legs are in, you know, more so is ideal. I do tell clients, I'm like, when you go to a restaurant, do you always ask to go sit at the long table in the middle of the restaurant? No. You're like, is there a booth available? That's what you want to sit in. That's what you want to sit in at your home. Yes, you're going to have to do a little scooting, but like we sit and we hang out, and I have a TV in my kitchen, like right there. And so like I'll watch TV and eat, like I'll watch a whole show. I'm not like anxious to get out of there. So, um, the other thing about like a banquette, the table sits closer than you think. Like when you're drawing it up, it's obviously going to overlap the banquette a little bit. So you might have more room than you think for the table. Okay. Any more questions? We've got like 1 minute left. So if anybody has anything else, I'm happy to answer real quick. Otherwise, I'm so happy you guys even showed up. I am so grateful for all of you. I really am. Um, okay. One last question, Katie. The artwork of your three girls above your fireplace is lovely. Was it an original piece by Colby Sanford? Yes, it was. I love Colby Sanford. He's such a good person, such a great artist. And his commission paintings, we've done many with him, and very worth it. It was one of the best purchases I'd made. It felt so good to work with someone personally and have such a good, like, something like that we're going to pass down forever. I mean, what a great way to spend $6,000 or $5,000 or whatever, like best money spent. Um, Andrea's having a hard time finding artwork. Yeah, it is hard. Maybe, you know, leave yourself open, know what you're kind of wanting, and go look at like antique stores, or like when you're traveling, like buy art when you guys see it. When you love art, buy it, please buy it. You will always find a place to use it. Don't wait on art. You can always sell it too on like Facebook Marketplace or something, but that's how we do it. We are always buying art because I think that's the way to get the best. Okay, just a couple more questions. And by the way, thank you guys. Thank you for your nice comments. Um, the black Bertazzoni and a stainless Thermador. I think the Bertazzonis are really beautiful. I haven't lived with one. I don't know the reviews on that as much, but I definitely prefer the look of those to the Thermador. I love a stainless steel oven. but I love I have a black oven, and I love that. If I like that it feels more European than maybe the stainless, but we do stainless all the time, Terry. It just kind of depends. I would mock it up. What's your inspiration pictures? Do they all include black ovens? Then go with the black oven, you know? So, okay, thank you so much. A lot of the names on here, I recognize you guys. I see you. I see your comments. I see you like comment on Instagram, on Substack. Like, I really do. Like, I feel like I know you. I hope you feel the same way with us. I'm really grateful for your subscriptions and for like answering each other on the chat. Like, I don't know why it like brings me so much joy to see everybody answering each other's questions, but I just think it's so kind. I think it's so great to see everybody helping each other out and have such a great community on here. It's exactly what I was aiming for, and you guys have made it that. So thank you, and I will see you on the chat and other places. And thanks for being here. Have a good weekend, everybody.